Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we're talking to singer, songwriter, and television personality Carnie Wilson. Carnie, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Jeff.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. And the cool thing is we get to talk to you about your new show, Sounds Delicious. Why don't you tell my listeners about that?
Oh, it's so fun. It's such a fun show. It's like a big dream was realized. Oh man, a long time I've been waiting to do this, and it's a show that my cooking show I think is really different. I mean, it's so much fun that it's like equal laughter to the delicious food. That's all I can say. And the guests we have on are really great. They're friends of mine. I know the guests. They're very famous. I mean, John Stamos was an absolute doll. I call it like the sexy episode because he's so cute I could barely concentrate. But we made lasagna. I'm sorry, we made chicken parmesan together, and just had so much fun reminiscing about the Beach Boys. We call him like an honorary Beach Boy. He's been touring with them for a long time, but a wonderful man, a wonderful guy, really charismatic. And the food sort of matches the guest. Like I try to set up like to pair it. Like Lisa Loeb is a family woman and she loves music, and of course amazing singer songwriter, and it's her 30th anniversary for her song called Stay. So we made this Mediterranean chicken with manchego mashed potatoes, and it was like it's a family dish, kind of like family style. So I thought that was perfect. And then Dee Snider comes on, and we made these. We call them sloppy Sniders for like sloppy sliders, little sliders, and we had so much fun. And that was his anniversary for Stay Hungry, his album, 40th anniversary. So there's a lot of flavors to the show with the guests, and of course the food, and it's really well done. I saw the first episode, and I couldn't fall asleep. I was so freaking excited.
You know what I love about this is everyone gets to go with their passions eventually. And you've been a singer, songwriter, you've had a talk show. I know this is something that's near and dear to your heart. How cool is it when you finally get to go, okay, this is my lane. I really want to go down this road.
Oh, you just totally hit it. That's exactly it. I mean, I have hosted TV shows. I am a singer. Music is my life. My family is my life. But my true passion, besides music and my children, is cooking and baking. And it's like that's where I spend my time. I'm in my kitchen. I'm serving people. I'm watching them eat. I'm making this great food. I just, I'm always moving. I don't stop. You know what I mean? And so, like when I have my downtime, I don't. I should be going to the gym, but I really would rather be in the kitchen making food for my neighbors. I mean, that's what I do. So it is kind of like this big accumulation of all the years wrapped into one show, and that's why I think the you can feel the love. Music is perfect, and it's one big celebration, and that's why I think this is the perfect timing, and Access TV is a perfect home for it because they do celebrate music and they do have so much personality, and that's what this show is. It's really different. I really think that there's nothing like it on TV.
You know what's interesting? I was watching one of the clips to your show earlier today, and I was laughing because the internet is so, our ability to get information is so quick. And when we want advice, when we want recipes, when we want everything else, and I was imagining your show if your producer cuts a clip down and just makes it so clean that I could see that everyone just going to your subscribing to your YouTube channel and just getting within 2 minutes figuring out exactly how to do everything. And then when they want to see the whole show, they would go watch the whole show. I just think there's so much opportunity with what you're doing.
There is, and I mean, that's people want. It's funny because I feel like we're all impatient. We get things. Everything is so readily available, and it's like It's almost like we're in a race with ourselves. We're in a race, and sometimes I just want to slow down and get back to what's really important. And to me, that's family. It's music. It's food. Truthfully, those are the most important things to me, and also laughing and everything is all humor. So I mean, I cuss like a sailor, so there's a lot of bleeps, and so it's kind of like being a fly on the wall in my kitchen because at my house I'm just kind of wackadoo, and I really get to just let it all out and be myself, and that's another thing I'm really grateful for. I don't have to hold back, and I don't think that people have seen that yet. They see me be you know nuts a little bit because I can't help it because I've always tried to just be me. But this is really, really the chance to like show how happy food, cooking, people, music makes me, and I hope that they feel it too.
You know, it's strange. I have to do a bunch of different shows. I am an attorney, but I also write comic books and I do stand up and I do radio shows. And depending on the show I'm on, I have to be somebody else. And the happier I am is when I get to be myself. I don't have to put on this air. This is who I am. And I'm sure it's such a pleasure for you to be able to do this on this show.
Oh my gosh. It makes me laugh, but like, you know, I have this wonderful team, wonderful crew, and our producers and director Katie Darrell, and you know, and her husband Eddie. It's like I've worked with them, and they get the crazy sense of humor that I have, and I think that's why it's the perfect match because I don't have to edit myself, and I that's it. That is totally it. I am 100% my authentic self. And that's when the real people can feel that. They can feel the excitement, they can feel the energy, and they know that I feel like there's a trust. Like I want to trust the chefs that I see, I want to trust the dishes. I want to trust that what I'm going to eat is going to be freaking amazing, and these are my recipes that I've worked on and perfected and love myself, and I just think that people are going to they're going to get it all, and it's going to be available for them. It's going to be so easy for them to get the recipes and try it at home. And not everybody's going to be cooking. That's another thing I want to do is be like, I mean, like David Archuleta from American Idol. He doesn't cook or bake at all, and I'm like, you are so sweet. What can I do with him that's not going to be too intimidating? That's kind of simple, but really cute and sweet like him. Well, chocolate cupcakes with chocolate ganache and the chocolate buttercream frosting. And I made him take the piping bag and pipe the frosting on it. He's like, I can do this. So it was perfect.
You know, that's when I hear stuff like that, it's so funny because, taking people out of their comfort zones sometimes can work out where they go, "Hey, listen, I can do this." And you're not scared of it. And what you're doing, I love what you're doing because a lot of times entertainment, they try to package people into certain areas that don't work. I mean, when Wilson Phillips takes off and, this is your love, this is your passion, so it blows up. And then, sometimes they try to push you into things that you're not comfortable with. And I love that, you're able to do this now where you're going, "Hey, listen, this was built for me."
Oh God, it's so my zone. It's not even funny. It just is so natural. I mean, that's where I want to be. I mean, I either want to be in the kitchen or the studio, and the kitchen is where where I've lived for years now, and I've had my my fair share in television with cooking and even competitive cooking, which was great for me because it made me be able to like move quickly in the kitchen and know. So I mean, I really do know what I'm doing, and it's not bragging. It's just like I have experience in that kitchen and testing recipes over and over and over again, having a family, feeding everyone. Everyone's got a different preference for food.
Well, a couple things that I thought of over the weekend, I went to this festival called the Tortuga Festival. And it's interesting because it's a country concert, but they have everyone else. Like, for example, Boys to Men was there, TLC was there. And I knew I had this interview coming up. And, how great Boys to Men were, knowing that their heyday was 20, 30 years ago. The place was still packed. I mean, what does that mean to you when you go, well, I think of that possibility of me going out there and us doing 5, 6 of our songs. I mean, is that even in the cards or is that something you're going, well, I don't see myself ever touring again.
Well, we are doing dates. We try to do one concert a month because with Wilson Phillips we've got 9 kids between us and just full lives, and I'm always doing a million different jobs as well. But like for instance, when Sean Stockman from Boys to Men came on the show, he's on the Philly cheesesteak episode because he's from Philly. We started singing together, and we realized because I met him on an airplane, and we were playing each other some songs in our headphones. He had a residency in Vegas at the time, and so like that's how I met Sean, and we just like bonded through harmony, and so that's what I love about this. He comes on the show, we make the Philly cheesesteaks together, but we start singing and harmonizing, and there's no rehearsal for that. We just bust into song, and it seems like with every guest, I wind up singing with them because it's natural for both of us. So it's like they're in my quote my kitchen, but we can't help but go back to what bonds us here. It's the music, you know. So that is, I mean, Boys to Men and Wilson Phillips would be crazy with harmonies together, and we talked about that.
That's ridiculously fun. I couldn't imagine seeing that. That would be something that would definitely, blow me away.
His voice is like absolute, honey. You know what I mean? He opens his mouth, and you're like, oh God, please keep singing to me. You know?
It's always cool when you're able to see people who are so talented and be able to work with them. And I imagine for you, it just may, you've been able to meet some of the best singers, the best talent in your life because of your father and your own success. How tough is it when people have a feeling about they think they know who you are, but all they know is from what they read?
Right. Well, I mean, I've always tried. I'm just like an open book. That's the way it's always been. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I can't help it. And my mom always taught me, be real, be yourself, be who you are, and and be kind and be compassionate. And for me, it's always been like this self-conscious thing because I've always been overweight, so I was always teased. So I learned about compassion as a young girl because I've always felt like ashamed and was made fun of. So I realized that I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I want to lift people up. And that I think is so important, especially now when we do have all this like this internet crap and where you can just shame people behind a closed door and not be accountable. And it just makes no sense to me. So that is really important for me to spread the positivity and the love and the humor. And so this is another example where I get to do that. And it's encouraging people to find what they are passionate about. And I think that people are passionate about food and music, and they're able to like have it in their lives. But how big of a part is it in their lives? Well, it's a massive part of mine, and it's how I keep my sanity. You know what I mean? I mean, I used to drink my troubles away. I used to do drugs and alcohol, and now I cook, I bake, I sing, I have music, and this is part of spreading that joy.
You brought that up with body shaming and everything else like that. And I mean, it's good that we're where we are now, where it's a lot more difficult for people to get away with it. But, I am so proud of who you are because you took a beating, back with Wilson Phillips. I mean, people were unbelievably cruel. And, what advice would you give to a young girl now who's got to put up with something like that?
True beauty comes from inside of you and not on the exterior. And I mean, I think people just constantly go, well, they compare themselves, especially women, like, well, she's got long legs, or she's got blue eyes, or she's got really thick hair, or, but it's like there is something gorgeous in every person, in all of us. And we just have to like go inside and say, what's special about me, and own it, and praise yourself for who you are as an individual, and just like be real, and I mean, don't be a jerk. I mean, if you're a jerk, then just don't be a jerk. But there are jerks out there. I'm trying to use nice words right now, but like, I feel like women. It's so hard for us because we're objectified a lot. It really is true. We really are. And but the truth is, I mean, men are beautiful too, but women are beautiful, and there's so much to admire. And I just think, like, in terms of stereotypes, I mean, just f it. Don't even put yourself in that category, and don't compare yourself. And know that the more acts of kindness that you give and you bring to other people, the better you're going to feel about yourself. And sometimes we get caught up in it because we're human, and we go, well, why did they say that? That's so mean. Like, I'll read comments about myself, and I'll be like, okay, that's rude, or that's mean. And I'll think to myself, that person must be so unhappy that they are saying something like that, because everybody can look at a picture and say, and acknowledge, oh, that's a big butt. Okay, it's a big butt, but you don't sit there and tell someone that. I mean, like, what jerk does that? Instead, like, reverse it. Let's try to reverse that and be like, oh, you have great bone structure. I mean, whatever it is.
It's tough out there, and, when I think of what you've accomplished, and I imagine, you're growing up, you see your dad, performing, and then suddenly it's you on stage, and you're the one touring, country to country. I mean, I don't like to use the word surreal, but for you, it just must have been "Oh my god, I'm doing what I grew up and watched." I mean, how big a change was that for you?
Well, going from like being on stage introducing the Beach Boys
Yeah.
and, being at the LA Forum, being like, "Are you ready?" I mean, I'm 10 years old. "Are you ready? Please welcome from Southern California, the Beach Boys." And those were my lines. I remember them exactly. And like then being on stage with Wilson Phillips, right? And then, you know, um, seeing my daughter sing with me and looking over and going, you're the granddaughter of Brian Wilson. You're my daughter, and then you're the Beach Boys' granddaughter, and here you are singing like an absolute angel. It is. It's just an outer body experience. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like it feels purposeful. It feels like a blessing. It feels harmonious and just absolute joy.
I think about everyone has a bucket list. Well, at least the people who write their goals and dreams down. And I always wind up adding 2 or 3 to it. And it doesn't matter where I'm at, and I'm always amused at what I'm doing now in comparison to what I was doing 10 years ago, and it always seems I'm doing more now. I mean, do you find yourself that way, or do you like going, "Okay, I'm doing this and I'm pretty happy?"
Well, honestly, this show is the bucket list for me. I swear, honestly, and if I ever had Adele or Elton John come on this show, I would probably faint. But it is not far fetched. We've been talking to Elton John's people, and I've got stories with all of these people. I have personal stories of Elton coming over, and and he reminded me of a story that he once put me to sleep in my crib when he came over. So it's like it is so. I know that's going to happen. So it's like bucket list. I'm right in the bucket. I'm right in the bucket.
I love that. I love that concept. I think the greatest thing about your show is you could actually, if you wanted to, hey, we're going to do a week in Vegas. We're going to do 7 shows in Vegas with everybody who has residencies there. Whether it be, uh, I mean, I could think just the Caesars alone, you could probably pull 3 or 4 people. Um, is there?
Oh yeah, I mean Kelly Clarkson would be great. Kelly Clarkson, Adele. I mean even Barry Manilow, I would love to have on. And it's just the list goes on and on and on, and that's the beauty of it. And it's like, and if you're a great cook, come on and show me the skills, and let's do it together. Let's even make your grandmother's famous banana cake. I'll do it all. I just want to be in the kitchen, cooking and singing with them, and that's it.
I could see that exactly. Now we have about a little over a minute left, and this is a question I always like to ask people like you. When I do stand up, so when I watch another stand up, I appreciate it, but I'm also missing that I'm not on stage at that time. Does that play with you, or are you able to enjoy a concert fully?
Oh, every minute of that concert, I'm in complete heaven. I just like the pouring it out to the audience and then seeing them give the love back. It is just beyond extraordinary, and it's like every single time I get on the stage and perform, it's a new energy from the surroundings, the environment, the venues, and that music, and it never gets old. It just doesn't get old. The song starts and you see the reaction from the crowd, and it's beyond. I mean, I am so lucky to do that, but we wouldn't have anything without the fans.
Well, your show is going to be on Access Television, and why don't you give us a little bit about your social media so people can find you?
Oh, great. Well, I love Instagram. That's my preference. So it's Carney68, and of course Access TV, AXS TV, and they can look it up for their cable stations and put it in their DVRs. If they're not even going to be home, tape it. Come on, put all your TVs on, and yeah, I mean I'm on Facebook too, but Instagram is the one. And yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for this fabulous interview.
Well, I can't tell you how great it was talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you again. Be well.